Alright, so I tried the tape inside, tried to press it up against there, it didn't really work very well for me. So I took a Sharpie and went inside and pressed it up, and it still didn't work very well for me. So what I'm doing is I'm finding, and you'll see when I pull this off, I'm finding where I need my spot welds to be. So what I've done is I've marked areas however far apart here to where I know that there's a bar that comes down this way, and this one should be right in here, and it'll come down, and it'll be a little pattern, however it is. But this is 958 thousandths, so 958 thousandths straight down, and then basically I'm just taking a little 1/4 inch because that's what my weld's going to be, a 1/4 inch spacer, 958 thousandths. Find the center of it. This is about right there. And just draw me a little circle. And that's what my weld will actually be. So as you can see, and you know, I could do more if I wanted, but this is all going to be seamed in. It's going to be welded under here and all that. So that should be plenty for a closeout panel. Next one is 1 inch 971 thousandths. 1 inch 971 thousandths. Right there where the tape is. Literally going to be right in there. What that's going to look like there. See how it comes up and comes around. Same here, it comes up, comes around, and comes down. So that'll actually, if I did that, it ought to be right on these edges. So I'll just grind these edges back, put some weld through on it. Not now I won't, but when I get ready to put this in for the final fitment, I've still got to take these out, sand them down, blast them, epoxy prime them, weld through the edges and all that kind of stuff. But I can go ahead and pop the holes in these. Yeah, I was trying to get this to put tape on here so I could just press it up against it and then leave it indentation, and I could just go through and do my thing, but that didn't pan out too good for me, so did it this way. Alright guys. Alright, you can see found my happy spots right pretty much where I wanted them. So that'll actually weld, and I chamfered these edges out a little bit so I could actually get more weld in there, but all I got to do is catch a hold of that inside there and weld myself out, or roll from the outside and roll in and catch it, but I got to catch it either way. But yeah, we'll work on that at a later time, but I figured I'd go ahead and pop the holes in these while I got this squashed down like it needs to be, because I'm getting ready to pull all this off. So this needs to be finished up and finalized, and you can see it hangs with the line that's supposed to, you know, come across. So alright, that's it for now. I'm going to do the other side and I'll bring you back. Alright, I got it all mocked up like I want it. Now I'll go ahead and pull it back apart and start figuring out where the holes need to be. So I just want to make sure that was right before I start popping holes. So alright, so you can see in here, maybe you can see, you know, found my little pattern. Here this one's too far back, so I ended up having to weld that hole up. Then I got this one here. So This will actually get bent down, and then this actually will get massaged over to where that's pinched together. This will be welded solid all the way underneath here as far as I can. Now there's a gap under here that I don't care for, so I'm gonna have to figure out. The reason I don't care for it is because that's where all the crap is gonna go up in between. So and hopefully that'll show. It's small, but if I could actually build that out a little bit and weld that shut, that would be awesome. The problem is this plate on there, I'm not going to be able to get up in there to do that. So I'm going to either have to take some measurements now and build this out to where I can do the same thing, make my holes out here to weld to that, you know, and seal this off, or box this whole section like that all the way down and under here and close it off. That way it keeps all the water and whatever else is going to splash up in there and get up inside there. I don't want that getting up inside that cavity. So yeah, could I cram that full of seam sealer? Yeah, but is that a half-ass way to do it? In my opinion, yeah. So I'm going to kick this around a little bit. Go ahead and pull everything apart since I've got everything like I want it. And you can see I've got the bolts, so it'll go right back where it's supposed to go. Everything's going to jive like it's supposed to. So now I can go ahead and get this stuff, you know, epoxied and then weld through primed for the flanges and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to work on now. Alright, so we got this obviously back apart. Someone take through this one more time. For the people who haven't been watching, didn't know, this is a brand new AMD part. Nothing against AMD parts because they're about the best out there that I've found. However, little people in Taiwan, and I shouldn't say little, that's probably not politically correct. Why am I going to say little? That's just wrong, right? You can't say that anymore. So I take that back. I apologize to the little people in Taiwan. If you're not little, maybe you're 7 foot tall. Maybe, you know, okay, so that's that tangent. So the people in Taiwan that do these, they press these and do all the stuff, then what they do, the best of my ability or best of my knowledge, they hang this stuff and they powder coat it. Okay, we thought this was electro, and it is, but it's not underwater. It's not getting in all these seams and holes, and I'll show you why here in a second. You guys have seen this before. So you would think that this would be black all over inside and out and da da da. You wouldn't have to worry about this because you don't ever want to have to take this off, right? I mean, that's part of the package. You buy this whole piece and it's already got the tank straps on it. It's already got the cross brace in it. It's all welded in and everything's happy, and not so much. And the only reason I found this out is because I had to modify something on this. When I went to modifying it, I got to looking in there and I could see it's bare metal. I mean, it's literally bare metal. You can see where they tried to kind of spray up in there to get, you know, close to whatever they could get, but you know, ultimately it's bare metal. So my assumption, I have to be left to assume that it's the same under here. So they put all the panels together and then they powder coated it. Okay, well that works for shipping and all that, but when you're doing a restoration like I'm doing, you don't want rust already in your floor, in your trunk pan, getting ready to eat through your freaking floor. And at first, you know, how many times water sloshed up inside here and boom, now you've got problems. You got serious problems. So what I got to do is clean all this off, and then I'm going to epoxy all inside here. And then I've got to tape off these edges because this is where my welds are going to be, as you can see. And so, yeah, I have to weld this all back down together. So I'll have weld through up to a certain point, and then I'll have epoxy taken over from there, kind of like I did Ross's truck. You guys have seen how I do that. Is it a pain in the ass? Yeah. Does it take longer? Yeah. But, I mean, if I plan on keeping this car for the rest of my life, which I probably do, then I need to do it right. And I'm going to tell you that we already talked about. Bare steel and water and oxygen starts the rust process, as you can see here. Now this is just surface, it's just starting, it hadn't eaten into the metal. So I could literally clean this off and sandblast it, or whatever, to get this off, which is what I'll do. And then go from there. But this is something that, I mean, I got tank straps. I mean, there's all kinds of parts all over this car that may be very well the case. I've got, I know that it was the case with these. Remember, I had my little brackets. They were welded here. They were rusted underneath, so I took them back out and welded them down into this frame. So now they're never coming out of there. These little guys, probably the same. There's probably bare metal under those, because the powder coating can't get underneath there. So it's metal on metal. Now this is inside the car. Hopefully it never gets wet. Hopefully. Same with these. Do I need to take these off and get underneath there and epoxy that and put them back on, weld them back on and all that? And I don't know, how far do you want to go? But ultimately, when you get these pieces, just be aware of that. Not saying AMD's bad, because AMD's amazing. I'm freaking so happy that they're out there, and they make that stuff is amazing. It's awesome. None of that I have to do that with, because there's nothing actually welded to this. Now, if they, in my opinion, if they were to do this right, they would have all these pieces apart and do all these little pieces individually. And I know it takes longer. That's probably why they don't do it, because they're out to make money. But they do all the pieces individually. Then they'd put them together, and then they would actually, do their little welds, And sure, it'd probably burn a little place away, but man, it's better than this whole thing under here being bare, or the whole thing under there being bare. So there's my 2 cents on that thing. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at. So I got some work to do on this. I'll probably go ahead and drill those tank straps out. Once I get this off, flip this over, I'm going to drill from the top side, so I have the thicker wet metal to weld to, because I just about bet you, just like everything else, it only gets up so far. It's only going to get to so far. You see what I'm saying? And so under here, it's all bare. Okay, if you don't care about that, because I'm telling you, if you drive this on Sundays, and you never, every so often take it to a car show, no, not going to matter. I plan on driving this thing all the time. So water's going to get sloshed underneath there. If you wash it underneath, it's going to get water in here, underneath there. And you can see down through here, it got, maybe you can see that, but it got all in there. But it's under here that I am concerned about. So I'll pull one off, and if it's not bad, then I'll weld it back on. But my guess is it's going to be bare metal, because it's the same as everything else they've done. So yeah, there you go. Rust. The enemy of our friend the metal. So, all right, yeah, fun stuff. Back apart. So, but again, like I told you before, this is it. This is where we start popping holes. We start making our holes. So you can see I've trimmed out my lines where my rails go. So I'll actually start putting my holes here. So when I put that back on, I'll be able to weld that down and make it a permanent fixture. So yeah, still a lot of work to go, but yeah, I got to pop holes through here. Anyway, all right, see you guys.